We are anonymous. No faces, no handlers, no permission slips. And tonight there is a piece of the Trump Epstein puzzle that too many people keep stepping around like it is radioactive. Look, everyone is staring at the files right now. Rightfully so. When documents start floating and names start surfacing, people want the clean final answer. But here is the problem. Sometimes the real story is not only inside a folder. Sometimes it is hiding in the pipeline that created the access, the culture, the patterns, the protection. And that brings us to the man on your screen. His name is Steve. He dropped a bombshell video the other day, saying he used to be a judge in beauty pageants Donald Trump owned and ran, Miss USA and Miss Teen USA. He says the media is missing the smoking gun, not just the public, not just the headlines, all of us. And he is not casually talking. He is warning. He is hesitating. He looks like someone who has been rehearsing what to say and what not to say, because he knows the second you say the wrong thing, the machine turns on you. So we are going to listen to Steve. And then we are going to do what Trump's entire life begs people not to do. Follow the trail past the surface-level scandal into the ecosystem that made it possible. Because I did a deep dive to prepare for this, and it gets worse. Before we go further, do what you always do if you want more of these stories in real time. Subscribe, hit like, comment, tell us what you think. Because the only thing more dangerous than what is being alleged is how quickly the internet forgets. Now listen to Steve. He says when it comes to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, the media is missing the smoking gun. He says he sat on this information for years, and he did not want to go public because it is not his job and it is dangerous. Then he names it. He says the smoking gun is the pageants Miss USA and Miss Teen USA, the pageants Trump owned for years. He says he knows because he was one of the judges, not a random bystander, not a rumor collector, a judge. He says he trained dozens and dozens of winners and runners up in public speaking to promote their platform. Then he drops two names like he is throwing breadcrumbs into a forest full of wolves. He says if you are in the media and you are looking for information, start with Billy Bush. Billy Bush hosted Miss USA and Miss Teen USA multiple times. He says Nancy O'Dell is another one. Then he says go down the rabbit hole from there. There are people who know a lot more than those two. But start there because they are celebrities, and once you start there, you will find things that are going to be very, very upsetting. And then he does something that tells you he believes what he is saying could get him hurt. He says, do not call me. I am not going to comment. I'm not going on TV. This is very dangerous to sit on. And if you pursue it, be careful. These people are dangerous. That is his message. And yeah, part of you wants him to say more. You want the specifics. You want names, dates, receipts, hard lines you can circle in red marker. But another part of you recognizes the tone. That is not a man chasing clout. That is not a man pitching a book deal. That is the tone of someone who thinks he is pointing toward a room where the lights should have been on years ago, and he is scared of who has been standing in the dark. Now I went looking. Who are the people he mentioned? Billy Bush, Nancy O'Dell. And that is when the old tape snaps back into focus like a jump scare from 2016. The Access Hollywood recording from 2005, released publicly in October 2016, where Trump is caught bragging about trying to pursue a married woman, talking about entitlement, and describing sexual behavior lawyers and many commentators have long called assaultive and predatory. Here is what matters for Steve's point. Trump was talking to Billy Bush on that tape. And within that same recording, Trump references Nancy O'Dell by name as the married woman he tried to pursue. So when Steve tells the media, start with Billy Bush, start with Nancy O'Dell, he is not picking random celebrities. He is pointing to the exact people who sat close enough to Trump, close enough to be in the audio, in the orbit in the same pipeline of pageant TV access journalism and backstage culture. Billy Bush was not just any host. He co-hosted Miss USA multiple times, including years alongside Nancy O'Dell. That is not trivia. That is the corridor. That is the hallway between the stage lights and the private spaces. And if you think this is all just talk, remember it is not just the tape. Trump's pageant world has been surrounded for years by allegations that he crossed boundaries around contestants and dressing room access claims reported by major outlets, including a former Miss Arizona contestant describing him entering a room while contestants were in various stages of undress during a 2001 rehearsal. Now let's go deeper, because Steve's claim is not Trump said gross things. Steve's claim is the smoking gun sits inside the pageant machinery itself. And he suggests it overlaps with Epstein's world. So I went back to something that resurfaced in coverage. Donald Trump in 1991, right in the era when his proximity to Epstein is part of the public conversation, appearing as a judge in Elite Model Management's Look of the Year competition, a contest with contestants as young as 14. The footage exists. The event exists. And the context around that contest is the part that makes your stomach tighten. A Guardian special investigation describes how Trump was closely involved with Elite's Look of the Year competition, hosting contestants at the Plaza Hotel and serving as one of the judges, amid a scene where teenage contestants, some as young as 14, were surrounded by older, powerful men in party settings. The Guardian reporting also states something crucial. While allegations were described about exploitation in that broader ecosystem, the article notes that no such allegations have been leveled against Trump in that specific context. Yet it raises questions about what he knew, why he was involved, and what kind of environment this was. And here is the part the narrator in your original story hammered. The competition has been tied to disturbing allegations about vulnerable young models and powerful men. The Guardian investigation into Elite's world included allegations connected to figures around the agency, including Gerald Marie, a powerful executive associated with Elite. And the reporting includes women describing sexual assault allegations involving him and others. The original story you gave me also names the scene: celebrity guests, runway glamour, and behind it, the Predator's favorite camouflage prestige. It talks about Linda Evangelista hair in a striking red bob presenting alongside Naomi Campbell, while Gerald Marie sat with judges including John Casablancas and Donald Trump. That vibe is not just gossip. Those names are in the reporting around Elite's orbit and the Look of the Year era. And John Casablancas, Elite's founder, is not a footnote. The Guardian describes Trump as closely involved with Casablancas' contest in 1991, hosting the venue and appearing in behind-the-scenes footage describing Casablancas as my friend John. Now connect the dots the way Trump never wants you to connect them. A young pipeline, a fame pipeline, a platform pipeline, a backstage pipeline, a network of men who treat access like entitlement. That is where Epstein thrived, not only on an island, not only in a mansion, but in systems where young women are positioned as currency, where the adults with power write the rules and where the people around them are trained to smile. Keep moving, keep quiet. And Trump did not just wander into these worlds by accident. He built branding empires in them. He owned the Miss Universe franchise for years, including Miss USA and Miss Teen USA. That means contracts. That means staff. That means security. That means access control. That means backstage culture becomes a management decision. Which brings us back to that Howard Stern clip your original text references, the one where Trump is joking about judging women, where he is asked about meeting contestants, and the conversation drifts into conflict and whether he should be around them like that. The point in your original story is simple. Trump repeatedly talks like boundaries are an inconvenience, like ethics are something you worry about later. And that is why Steve's warning matters, even if Steve refuses to give you everything. Because Steve is not saying, believe me, because I'm scared. He is saying I was inside the machine. Start with the public faces, then dig, carefully. So here is the bigger picture in plain English. Trump wants you stuck in the shallow end, arguing over whether this or that document proves everything in one shot. But the deeper story, the one that keeps resurfacing no matter how hard he bullies the press, looks like this. A man who bragged on tape about sexual entitlement while talking to a pageant host. A man who owned pageants with multiple reported claims about inappropriate backstage behavior. A man who shows up in the early 90s judging teen modeling competitions in an ecosystem later investigated for serious allegations about exploitation of young models. And a man whose name remains permanently adjacent to Jeffrey Epstein in the public record because the circles overlapped. The social scenes overlapped. And the culture of entitlement overlapped. Is any single piece proof of a specific crime by itself? No, and we are not going to lie to you and pretend it is. But if you are asking what pattern looks like, what a system looks like, what a pipeline looks like, this is it. And Trump's greatest trick has always been the same. He floods the zone with noise until people stop looking at the structure. So if Steve is right, if the smoking gun is buried in the pageant years, then the question becomes, who was there? Who saw what, who signed, what, who protected what, and who still benefits from keeping it quiet? That is not ancient history. That is a live wire. Because the same instincts that run those environments are the instincts Trump brings into everything. Deny, attack, intimidate, and dare you to blink first. Do not blink. If you think this deserves real investigation, not clickbait, not rumors, not selective outrage, then keep your eyes on the people who are close enough to know. The hosts, the staff, the judges, the producers, the handlers, the network executives, the security, the winners, the runners-up, the ones trained to speak beautifully while swallowing what they saw. And if you want the next thread we pull, you already know what to do. Like the video, subscribe if you want more, comment what you think Steve is pointing at, because power depends on silence, and we are not here to be quiet.